Hello and welcome. This is, what is this, February 12th, week of February 12th, 2018. So welcome to the Abuse Cartoons stream. So I've got a little bit different setup with the microphone, so hopefully that will work. I wanted to get back to the mic in front of my face, kind of real close talking sound. I think that worked better than what I was doing before when I had the microphone kind of below me. It was a little too far out of range, and I was speaking differently. So hopefully this will be a nicer thing to listen to. If you're just listening to this, the quality should be a bit better. So feel free to let me know. Sorry about drinking on microphone there. Feel free to let me know. And so I was hoping to start a little early this week, but actually had a little electrical trouble. I'm running a space heater behind me, and the space heater and the coffee maker didn't want to be on the same circuit. So I had to get that sorted out so I could actually feel my fingers today. And so that was the bit of the slowdown. So it should have been a little bit earlier, but instead we're just right on our usual time. Oh, and actually I totally forgot to let anybody know about this. So yeah, I guess I should probably tweet something. Sorry about that. I completely blanked on the Twitter. Yeah, sorry. Just give me a second here. Okay. Okay, great. Well, just a second. Sorry, I guess I should have started before. Okay. All right, sorry about that. This has got to be thrilling. Yeah, I just realized that I haven't updated the abusecartoons.com website with anything for the streaming or Patreon or anything like that. So need to get that going. Ugh. Yeah, that's just an oversight, on my part. So sorry about being behind with all of that. But at least I'm regular with the streaming, right? So I guess that works. So yeah, sorry about that little bit of delay. So are we still up? Yeah, we're still up and running here. So this is going to be a little bit of an experiment. So sorry if you hear, if there's any, like that, if there's any microphone noise. I'm trying to, get the microphone in a nice position and not too noisy, and still be on camera and everything. Yeah, I've adjusted the camera a little bit. I'm looking a little orange at the moment. Oh, and you can see the heater behind me now too. So that's the heater I'm talking about. Maybe we don't need to be that low here. And it's still nice and cold outside. All right, well, the heater's nice and close, so you can enjoy that. Okay, so I guess I need to warm up a bit. Oh, the table's wobbly right now too. Interesting. Okay, well, I'll take a look at that later. So it's a little bit of warm-up drawing. So it's been a cold, miserable week. I saw something about the flu season in the U.S. and they were saying weekly there are some thousands of people dying from this flu season. I guess it's probably elderly and situations where it spreads, so maybe young kids and elderly, but that's terrifying. I'm not sure. I have nothing to compare that to, but that sounds very scary. The idea of this flu season being that brutal. And there's something I read that said the biggest problem with it is that the vaccine, that the way they typically derive the vaccine is using chicken eggs or chicken embryos, I guess. And this most recent flu strain does not reproduce well in chicken embryos. So basically, all that they're able to do is produce a flu vaccine that would work well for chickens, but not necessarily people. So the effectiveness of the vaccine for this most recent flu is not great. So that's a little bit scary. We're headed towards that exciting pandemic time where the whole world's going to get sick and we're just going to lose a big piece of population. Looking forward to it. That'll be great. But yeah, I was talking earlier today, just to kind of bring up a little, Japanese culture thing. We're talking about school kids, and mostly like junior high school age kids, so like early teens, and the demands that they have as far as classwork. A lot of schools have Saturday classes, and then most kids have after school clubs and also after school cram school. I think it's most commonly called in English, but they call it juku in Japan. And for a specific subject or something, preparing for a test taking, like either a standardized or an entrance exam or something, they have these specialized kind of pay per hour classrooms that you can go to. And so most kids here have their school friends, and then depending on what they're doing academically, they also have their juku friends, so they're friends in their after school. And I don't know, that just is a little bit. I'm sure there's a logic to it. I just haven't heard anybody kind of adequately explain why the school you go to all day doesn't do enough or cover enough of the material, or deep enough or more specific enough that you're actually able to pass exams or use that time to learn the subjects, and why there's additional teaching needed. So it's like adding an extra class to your schedule. So couldn't they just add that extra class instead of some waste of time lesson? It just seems odd. So everyone's taking extra classes. So what that means is kids are getting home from school, and they can. It's probably a 10-minute walk. They mostly live very close to their schools, unless they have a long distance private school. They are usually living very close to their school, so it's like 5-10-minute walk, maybe 20-minute walk back and forth to school from their house. But they're getting home at 7-8 o'clock, trying to get some dinner. Then it's time for homework. So they do hours of homework and basically don't have any time to themselves until around midnight. So on a school day, on a weekday, kids are beginning at midnight to have some free time to do what they want, to kind of dedicate to their hobby, or watching anime or doing something, or probably just a lot of internet, online gaming or the like. And that starts around midnight. And so to find time for themselves, to find kind of time to enjoy something other than schoolwork or their sports club or whatever, they take time out of their sleep schedule. So they're mostly getting up, 6 a.m., but maybe a little bit before that, and going to bed, you know, however long they really needed to devote. So maybe 2, 3 o'clock, they're actually finally getting to sleep, and then getting up at 6 a.m. It's really ridiculous. It's just an amazing situation. And the first thing that suggested that this was the situation here to me is some of the television stations. I'm not sure if it's cable or free television. Maybe the free television. Oh, I don't know if they go off air or not. It's been so long since I've watched free television, or even cable television. It's all streaming now. But there was a listing, or they were doing advertisements for some new anime series, and the time that it was going to be on was like 1:30 a.m. or 2 a.m. on television, like the weekly time to tune in. And so I thought that was a product of the kind of DVR, although DVR didn't quite, I think, go as crazy here in Japan as it did. I think that it kind of modest amount, just because there's a lot of not that great programming here. But DVRs weren't such a big thing, so everyone didn't kind of time shift everything that they wanted to watch. But I thought that crazy 2 in the morning viewing time was because everyone just recorded it. So they just assumed people recorded it, so they time shifted so they could just play it whenever it was cheap and whenever it fit in the schedule. But I think it turns out that they were probably doing that because they figured out that's when fans would be awake. That was the prime time. So I think very rarely was I up watching TV at that time. So I'm really curious about what the advertising was like at that time in the morning. Because I remember in America, like anybody that watched Saturday Night Live in the 80s or 90s, and it's probably still the case today, is the commercial breaks, the later it gets, the longer and longer the commercial breaks are, and the shorter and shorter the show is. So you're so tired, and it just doesn't seem like you're even watching a show anymore. It's just commercials. And I wonder if it's the case here. Although television commercials, the fun thing about Japanese TV commercials is the average time, the kind of segment time, is 15 seconds. So they're pretty short. Instead of having those 1-minute commercials or 90-second commercials, you'll have little 15-second commercials, and so that tends to make them a bit more bombastic and kind of like catchy, and they're doing something to just get your attention because they don't have much time to do it. So maybe Japanese television commercials were kind of the early Vine videos because they were just quick and catchy. And the funny thing is, though, when the ad block is longer, when the ad block is like 30 seconds, but they've made 15-second spots, they'll just play it twice. You may have noticed that on YouTube or something. Well, I guess, yeah, if your IP address is coming from Japan. If you live in Japan and you're watching YouTube, you may have noticed that some, I guess not so much anymore, but early on, they would have, ad blocks that were longer, so they would just loop the commercial basically. So you just had multiple viewings of the same ad because they paid for 30 seconds, but they only had a 15-second spot, so they just played it twice. So so that suggested that kids were actually up at that time. So I asked some students about that, and they admitted that was true. That's their time. That's their only. Basically, Sunday is their only holiday, and sometimes that gets eaten up with family activities because it's often the dad's only day off. So if they're going to do something like go to the park or go out to dinner or whatever, they do that on a Sunday. So both the dad and the kids lose that free day to some family activities, and so to have their personal time, they do that early hours of the morning, giving up sleep. So something's got to give. So I guess like earlier when I was talking about finding time to do your work, to be creative, that's a great example of that. If that's something that you really care about, you just make that time. You make that time exist. If you want to spend 2 hours, playing a game every day, and everything else in your life isn't going to allow it, sleep is the only thing that that you have to kind of bargain with, that you can, that's negotiable. So giving up your sleep time, and people, that's a common thing that people have to do when they have kids as well, is you're just giving up your sleep for the child care, because the baby isn't gonna wait for you to feel well rested. So yeah, so that's a good thing to remember, is you can make it possible. If you want it bad enough, you can make it work. And especially when you're younger too, if you're still in your 20s, give up the sleep and get something done, be productive, because yeah, that's the best thing to do for your career, for just your skill level, is just devote the time to it. And you see that a lot of people are insanely productive now, because of the internet, and maybe because of that pressure. I think the one thing that has gotten a little bit uncomfortable about everything switching to digital work, like you're not mailing boards in, you're not sending anything physical, you're not running to FedEx and trying to meet your deadline, you have having to get in by like 6 p.m. so they get them the next morning. There isn't that deadline of moving things physically. It's all sending digital files, FTP or attached to email or however. And so that creates this almost insatiable demand. If you're doing digital work, it just, the requirement to be insanely prolific is, that's just a fact now. And that also means that, everyone's price is going down. But, what the system would kind of demand is bottomless. So the faster you can work, the faster they're going to take that work. So yeah, that's definitely something that was a little bit difficult for me to get used to, and maybe younger creative people don't have that problem as much. But you see that with every sort of medium. If you look at Twitch or YouTube or whatever, the requirements, like I think the partnership requirements for Twitch are streaming at least 3 or 5 days a week. So that's your job. I mean, unless you're just going to do that every day after work, streaming is your job. And that's amazing, the kind of requirements that these newer mediums, and that you see that on YouTube as well, people just posting daily videos, short daily videos, because they need to just feed that beast, keep audiences engaged, keep something in front of the eyeballs that are subscribed or tuning in. So it's a little brutal. I mean, I do like a lot of the creators that just get stuff out whenever they get it out, because then it's longer, you spend more time with it. If it's more of an experience, you can enjoy what they did. And that probably just makes me old, but I definitely enjoy that style of work, instead of this demanding kind of daily production. That's just got to be excruciating for people that want to have any sort of quality. It's not hard if you just turn on a camera in front of your face, unedited, and just complain at it, or espouse your politics at it. I guess that's not a difficult thing to do. But if you're going to have any production value, or put anything into it, it's not easy. So it's a bit hard to understand what the outcome of this is going to be. Like, where's this going, if people are going to feel under that sort of pressure to actually produce daily content. Where's that going? I mean, it's not unrealistic to then start to imagine people having morning and evening content, which I think some people already do. And we're getting to the point where there will be hourly content that people will be producing. I don't know if there's enough things to even talk about in the world on an hourly basis, but I can imagine it going there. I can imagine, things being there. So, and this all started out with junior high school kids staying up too late, but that's a real, kind of uncomfortable thing that you just you have to figure out how you're going to handle. And I really think, apart from a lot of the video platforms kind of squashing that whole thing, there was a really great kind of online animation, kind of, digital, especially in the Flash age, a lot of digital animation coming up, and a lot of single producers that were doing a considerable amount of decent quality animation work, and having YouTube channels, or posting it in places, and that just kind of went away. And I don't know if that's because the demand is just impossible to satisfy, is nobody can produce daily animation, or why that was. I mean, I think it just was discouraged. It just didn't, even though it was popular, and it's a great thing. It was a great thing about the earlier streaming platforms. It just didn't survive, and I'm not sure if they just decided that they didn't want that, or if just the demand, because animation is so labor intensive, if the demand was just too much for anybody to realistically actually output that much, because you have to put together studios to get daily work done. You can't be an individual creator and have any sort of life doing that. Yeah, that's the funny thing you occasionally hear. His name escapes me at the moment, but the creator of One Piece, the mangaka that draws One Piece, occasionally you hear ads about him, or articles about him being hospitalized. And I think only once in the history of that comic, which is years and years old. So it appears in the Weekly Shonen Jump here, and he missed a week because he was hospitalized, because he put so much of himself and his time, like not sharing the workload with as many assistants maybe as he should have, and just got sick from exhaustion and had to go to the hospital. So he actually missed a week of his comic, and it was very shameful, for him. But that's insane. That was a few years ago. So it just, you have to be really careful about balancing those demands, because if you can do that, I mean, I think that's an admirable thing, and you'll be very successful in the kind of digital online world if you can be that prolific and maintain quality and maintain an audience. But yeah, that's a crazy thing to have to do. And I don't think a lot of creators want to be working in that kind of breakneck way, that breakneck speed. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind that you're going to probably be confronting sometime in your career. Is how far are you willing to be pushed, to be squeezed to get work out of you? Because of course anybody that you work for is going to push you as hard as possible, and pay you as little as possible. So you have to get to the level where you know what you're worth, and you know how much you can actually output. That's a thing that is important to be able to do. If someone offers you some work and they say, okay, how long will it, how much and how long will it take? Always be aware of kind of what the going rate is, and have a good place to start. And of course, start high. Set your deadlines long and your price higher, and see where it goes from there. Don't ever. I mean, I think the kind of first thought would be to lowball, to price yourself, if you definitely want the work, to just price yourself as low as possible. But that's then, if you continue working with those people, that's where you're starting. So they might go a little bit up from there, but they know what you're willing to work for. And unless you've really made it clear that this is just a special one-time thing, and this is a favor, or a trial, or you're doing something that you're not working for your going rate, then you will have to try to come up from there. It's much easier to start higher than it is to get higher from a lower hourly or a lower, per piece rate. So remember that, and it's probably worth losing things that aren't willing to pay, jobs that aren't willing to pay you for your time, because unless you're, early on and you're only thinking about building a portfolio, it's going to be a mistake, because you're just going to get buried in unprofitable. Turn this a little bit. Unprofitable, unsustainable work, and you'll be working, but you won't be eating, and you won't be very happy with your life at that point. Yeah, I'm trying to do a think. It's a little bit tricky. I want to try to do one of the rounded corner board books. Yeah, something like that. I think I need a different shape here. So that's always something to keep in mind with your work is don't let the market push you around if it's just going to make you miserable, because you just burn out and stop doing it. It's not worth it. Oof. All right. I don't know how this is going here. Yeah, trying to get that little baby board book shape going. I think that works. I think that's believable enough. Something like that. Yeah, so let's get rid of some of these. So I was thinking, the idea that after I was having that conversation about kids giving up their time, I was thinking about the kind of toy angle of that, and Sleepy Toys sounded really funny to me because they were up all night as well. So let's see if we can draw some Sleepy Toys and still have them be funny. Oh, so I think I've drawn that Fisher-Price stacking ring thing a few times. Drinking again on camera. On microphone, I guess, is worse. Camera, it's not so bad to see somebody drink. It's actually having to listen to them drink. That's the hard part. All right. Yeah, I was noticing it's not, I don't know if it's my particular setup, but monitoring what I'm doing on the Twitch website, like looking at the channel in a web browser as kind of monitoring the quality and everything, is not great, because sometimes it's caching and saying, well, I'm really orange. It's caching, it's spinning, and you think you're disconnecting when you're not. If you look at any other source, a phone or a tablet, you're still online, and the quality is decent, but the website, I don't know, maybe it's the browser, doesn't seem to like to tell you how your connection's actually doing. So that's a little frustrating. I don't know if that's an incompatibility. I'll have to change that camera. Oof, that's brutal. Yeah, see, it's caching right now. It's loading right now, but everything else isn't lagging or doing that, so I'm not sure what that is. It may just be a Google Chrome problem. It's not as if Google Chrome doesn't have a lot of those. All right, what's another toy? Oh, are we doing the stacking rings? Yeah, actually, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I don't think I've drawn those for a while. Yeah, just recently, as in Sunday. Yeah, this last Sunday, I did a stream for miniature painting. So that was fun. I had the kind of 2-camera setup. The camera wasn't over my shoulder, but which it should have been, but a kind of macro setting for the camera to be tight in on what I was painting little tiny 28 millimeter miniatures. So that was fun to try on camera. I'd never done that before. This is like the most adventurous I'd been with streaming, and it worked okay. It was hard to, because of that scale, you're doing things and you're trying to stay conscious of the camera and you're doing something small like that, but then when you're concentrating on what you're doing and not so aware of the camera, you do this and so you're out of focus or off camera or all sorts of things. So it's a totally different thing to get used to. I think you just kind of have to lock your arms, just kind of block things out and have marks, so keep your arms in a certain position and just kind of paint in that position. But doing that for 2 hours was exhausting. I was surprised. Usually that's a pretty fun thing to do, but when you're streaming, you don't take a lot of breaks. And so it's just, 2 hours of 2.5 hours of kind of intense detail work was pretty exhausting. But I will figure that out as well and try to. So that was for the Idle Red Hands Twitch channel. So I'll put a link to that here if you want to hear me talking about something even less interesting than this cartoon. The miniature painting for the hobby stream. That I think I need to just draw these things separately. It's looking a little deformed here. Or actually, I might be able to save it. It's just, I think I'm just drawing it up too high. Might be able to salvage it. But yeah, the classic baby toy, the Fisher-Price stacking rings. And then I'll just have to remember which color is at the bottom. Is it purple, blue? The biggest one is, I think it gets darker. I think it goes, yeah, I think actually just the color order, chromatic color order. So indigo violet, maybe purple would be at the bottom. The ring's looking a little tight. All right, sleepy baby toys is not going well here. Get rid of that. Yeah, I think it is just red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. I think that is the order. Wow, Fisher-Price, you were teaching us so much at the very earliest stages of our lives. Okay, so we'll go with that and then some separate rings. I think my rings are going to end up looking like donuts. I should probably open them up a little bit more than those little puckered donuts that I usually draw. Yeah, something like that should work. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so my position is a little bit different because I've got a microphone stand now, so it's not touching a table or anything, but it doesn't have a shock mount on it or anything, so forgive me if I'm hitting the stand and you're hearing some rumbling, but I just thought it was better. Oh, let's do this. Make a little bit of noise. I thought it was better to have the microphone kind of right under my chin. I liked that more intimate sound of the conversation, the one-sided conversation. I think that sounded better than when I had it, like 12 inches away. It probably was picking up more room noise and then not sounding, like so intimate. I think that's a nice quality for this kind of stream to have, is a more, talking in your ear. If you're listening, with headphones or whatever, it's a nicer sound than an emptier, more echoey room sound that you get the further the microphone is away. And with all the road traffic behind me, I think that's a good thing. So I'll try to fix my orange face for next time. I didn't realize I was playing with the settings for the camera and didn't realize the color intensity or something was up so high. It looks funny. I was mostly trying to find a good balance between background and foreground, because I think previously I was a little bit more in shadow, you know, the little darker here and kind of blown out behind, and I found out that the camera adjusts so that you can actually have some more flexibility with that. It's a little bit of white balance and contrast and things you can play with to get going. Yeah, let's try something like that. All right. Yeah, maybe one more, like a little Fisher Price person. Gotta love those guys. Yeah, I don't even know. I think these guys are completely gone. This is, you know, super dated, because I think the people now are, you know, kind of cartoony, people shaped, you know, kind of chunky, chubby little cartoons. They don't have these I'm not drawing him so big. They don't have those abstracted like peg men that they used to have. Yeah, I think those disappeared in the 80s probably, because they I'm sure they could mold things and a much you know, with much better detail and, you know, different materials, safer plastics or whatever. Yeah, because these original little guys were wood, I think. So painted wood sometimes it's a little problematic for a kid's toy, in my experience. So yeah, especially little babies, they love to teethe on everything, so a painted wood toy is dangerous at that teething age. Wow, parenting advice as well. What a stream. Yeah, look how red my cup is. Yeah, I think the color intensity is a little up. Actually, let me see if I can do this while it's streaming. It's probably going to yell at me. Let's find out. Will it do it? Will it do it? All right. Whoa, I might get away with this. Color intensity down. Oh, now I'm kind of gray. It's all out of whack. Yellowy. How's that? Let's do the mug test. Yeah, I think you can see. There we go. Not so screaming red. So I took the saturation down a little bit. Some live adjustment there on camera. It must be interesting to watch me click over looking at another monitor. So that's a little bit better. So still the light balance is okay, but I'm just not glowing orange. Although that could be my thing. All right. So yeah, we'll go with that for now and move on to the second cartoon. Oh no, what did I do? Oh boy. Okay, so let's try this. Isn't that cool? I'm doing all this on the fly. Yeah, as you've seen me do several times, the keyboard shortcuts for Photoshop and the streaming software, obviously some of them are the same. So even with that locked, I was able to blow that up full screen. So you get to really see how that color correction looked. But yeah, so sorry about that. And as I was saying, let's move on to the other one. And I was just trying to save. Can I just get a save? Yeah, so obviously Control S is a shortcut of some kind in that software, and blows up whatever window is selected. I don't know, the full screen. Good time. Yeah, if you're a regular viewer, you've seen the little let me see, which corner is it? The tape here, the little piece of Scotch tape that's holding my video window in the corner there. Sometimes you've seen those jump into the middle jump over to the middle of the Photoshop 4 little pieces of tape when I'm drawing, because that's the graphic that is on that layer. And so sometimes I guess that just gets centered, that just gets, you know, full screened and centered in the middle of the screen. So a lot to learn. So yeah, as I'm working, I'm, you know, selecting brushes and saving files and things. So obviously the stream thinks I'm doing something else. All right, so let's keep going. I don't know if the books, there were books in this other one, if they were that interesting. No, actually, let's bring those over. I think I like that. I think I like what was going on there. I just like the some of the cartoons that have a real nice you know, movement to them, or, you know, look like they're in the middle of action. I enjoy that a lot. Yeah. I enjoy that a lot. Some of the more, you know, dynamic looking cartoons are fun. Let's fill these and see if we can find some nice order. Yeah, I think this will work, because I was just thinking about the I guess that's probably still a thing, but the, you know, the book drop where you where you are just shoving books into a giant mailbox, or a, you know, late night deposit metal drawer. If that's still a thing. I don't know. Are library books still a thing? That's insane to think about, with, you know, so much information online and everything being digitized, if people are still dropping off books at all hours of the night. Yeah, I'm gonna fill a couple of these so I can give a good layer order to them and kind of figure out a nice composition. I don't think I've ever drawn a wincing face before, but maybe I won't be doing that today either. Yeah, so I think this was actually this guy, yeah. So put this maybe a little bit off. Oh, the first book into the book drop. All right, well, yeah, I think that'll work. I think that's fun. Kind of dog pile of books. So we'll go with that, but maybe bring this one down a little bit so we can size them all up. I think they could all be a little bit bigger. All right. Okay. So, pile of books and some sleepy kids' toys. So let's put some color on some things and see if it gets looking any better here. Yeah, so painted wooden toys. You still have, at least here in Japan for kids, they have a lot of the German wooden toys, so like European wooden toys, and I think they don't. I guess they're actually for a little bit older kids, but they don't have that same problem. But actually, no, I think that's exactly what happened. My daughter one time was teething on the head of something. The head of something that was a wooden painted toy, and she must have got a little chip of paint or something, in her throat, and just was uncontrollably gagging, and it was terrifying. So that was the reason I wasn't a big wooden painted toy for little babies, for little tiny kids. That's so scary. Stuff like that happens. All right, we'll go with violet. And we'll keep that as white, because I think that's all it's ever been. No, it's not going to be quite accurate, but get a nicer color variety this way. Yeah, and maybe blue, because I don't think I'm doing that anywhere else. There we go. So that gives us some orange kids book color. Okay, I think that's everything. Yes. Okay, so I want to come up with a nice edge of cardboard color for the book here. That's a little too dark. It looked better when I was choosing it. It's a little lighter than that. All right. There's our Sleepy Kids toys. Actually, I think I'm going to put a little bit more design on the front of that book just to visually make it a little bit more fun. I don't know if they do that. That just looks like a kids book kind of thing. Contains all the shapes and letters and everything your growing child needs. There we go. All right, and do a little. Actually, do I want to put the little face? This is not going to be anything that anybody that looks familiar to anybody, but that little Fisher-Price face. The hair. I think the mouth is actually red, but I'll do a little red mouth there too. So no, oh, there we go. Look at that little Fisher-Price man. And I'll take that down so it looks like it's printed on there. All right, and then we'll do the rendering on top of that with the shadows. So it looks like Fisher-Price man needs a shave there. What were they? What are they called? Little people? Is that Fisher-Price? But yeah, all the cars and everything, it was just peg holes. So you just like, you know, square car with 4 holes in it. You just stuck 4 family members in there. Wow. Now I think they probably have much more complicated things. But that was what we did. We stuck round pegs in round holes. And we liked it. Whoa, I didn't want to do that. Okay, so history eraser button. Okay, let's go back. So just have it set too high. 21. No, I guess I'm just, I just got a side open there. Wasn't paying attention. There we go. Maybe all of this can be under, make it a little more interesting in the book. And these guys, so here and maybe on the inside as well. All right. There we go. Delicious plastic donuts. And actually we need to, yeah, put this in there too, don't we? So it looks like it's seated a little bit more. Something like that. And then just clean that up. Make sure we still got that shape. All right. And then a little bit of white just to kind of go over everything. Yeah, so some colors that shows up better, so you notice the contrast between the red and the blue. The red, it barely shows up, in the blue it's much more visible. Wow, can you hear all that road noise? It's the road noisiest. Yeah, it's really funny. Most of the time the cars are pretty quiet, and even the trucks aren't very big here, at least the ones, you know, that can drive in the city. They do have the larger tractor trailers, but you only see those on the highway. The kind of cross-country driving. Actually, it's really insane how I can't get that angle. How tiny a lot of the construction equipment and things get here. They just look like kids' toys. You know, like it looks like one of those, I forget what they're called, but the, you know, those little plastic, they've got those electric cars for kids that they can physically ride in. It's got a little car battery in them, a little go-kart battery, and drive around. Some of the construction equipment, I think, looks like that. It's so miniaturized and so funny to see the you know, the scale of things. And it's just because, you know, there's just not wide enough roads and big enough areas to do more than that, but it just looks so funny seeing grown men in tiny little miniature machines. There we go. I guess everything's shiny enough. I think I've been doing that a little bit too much lately, making everything extra shiny, but I do want to do that. And then we can put the shadows on the ground for everything in the correct layer, of course. Oh. All right. There we go. I guess that's maybe like that. A little bit of light is getting through that donut, right? So yeah, sleepy kids' toys. That amused me when I was thinking about teenagers trying to stay up and have a social life or a hobby or something, and exhausting themselves. Yeah, I'm so surprised that there's not any advice from adults saying, you know, get your sleep. I can't imagine a American teenager sacrificing their sleep for a hobby. I don't think there's any hobbies ever that would ever be popular enough. Sleeping. Nothing beats that, sleeping. Yeah, it's just funny. So you're working twice as hard because your brain is not doing what it needs to. You're so tired. Okay, let's put some little eyes on everybody. Oh, actually, let's see if this works to make everybody look kind of exhausted. Oh, it's a killer. We're breaking new ground here. I don't think anybody has seen sleepy eyes before. I hope that's going to read. I have to remember I'm not, it's going to be this size. Yeah, I don't know if that's just going to look like a mistake or if that's going to actually look like. So let's try this, actually drawing it. Yeah, maybe drawing it would be better. Yeah, because maybe I'll just leave it on the white so it's more visible. And everybody else, I'll just kind of draw more to scale. Sleepy eyes. That way they can have funnier angles. And a little more control. When I was just cutting those circles, it wasn't giving me a lot of control. Oh, I like when I resize and it remembers what they used to look like. All right. Exhausted, sleepy toys, and now books being returned. Yeah, I just remember library books just being all dingy looking, so try to come up with some nice dingy colors for them. And they also always had that plastic protective layer on them a lot of the time. And if they had nice dust jackets or whatever, the dust jacket is all wrapped up in crinkly plastic just to make it less desirable. And I guess bookstores used to do that too with the sample for the coffee table books or whatever. They would wrap the dust jacket so it didn't get torn right away. And then when they didn't, yeah, that's when it immediately was torn and raggedy looking. I think the rise of the Borders and Barnes and Noble and those bigger bookstores with the coffee places in them, you started to see all kinds of just horrifying damage on books because so many people were just there reading them and putting them back. So that was a thing for a while until the internet took that all out. I guess there's still Barnes and Noble. I guess that still exists, but no more Borders. I'm sure all the other kind of smaller ones went out of business. Yeah, that's the thing that really is heartbreaking too. Is Amazon started as a online bookstore, and now you'd be crazy to order books from Amazon, but basically they don't have a lot of options. But they arrive in used condition, in such damaged, horrible condition. I don't know how many times. It may just be, the warehouse I'm getting them from is probably somewhere in Europe or Asia, and it's run a little bit differently or whatever, and then the to get it all the way here. But I have not gotten a book that I bought as new, of course, with an Amazon discounted price, but I bought the book as new, and if I was in a store I wouldn't even consider purchasing the book. It's so damaged, all the corners crushed and cover bent, and glue. There was one book that I got that had glue, like spray adhesive all over it, all the way around. It was dry and gummy. It was bizarre. So I've had a lot of miserable experiences, and they don't care. I mean, yeah, send it back to them. You pay to send it back to them, and they'll probably replace it. But it's just nonsense dealing with that. So that's been a real turnoff. And paperbacks, yeah, forget it. Paperbacks are gonna be in horrifying condition. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if if they've just decided that's where they're gonna take the hit. Whatever. But yeah, I always end up complaining about something ridiculous. I guess that's what this whole kind of creative process is about. It's just complaining about some little quirk or aspect of people. But yeah, it's a real shame that buying books is such a miserable experience now. And when you search for something the first result that usually comes up is, buy it for your Kindle. And, that price, that they had that whole scandal about what their shenanigans with fixing book prices. I think in Europe mostly is where they got caught, but it's just ridiculous. That whole thing. But that's really sad. I mean, it's really the end of the books being an enjoyable thing. And there was just a short period of time where, when Amazon was mostly only books, that they were really a good way to buy books. And I don't think I've had a pleasant experience buying a book on Amazon in more than 10 years. So, okay, enough of that. These books got me complaining. But yeah, it's just a shame. I don't know. I mean, but basically, the thing when all those articles were coming out about Amazon's, cashierless, kind of automated stores and stuff, the point that they made is Amazon is not an online retailer any longer. They're a back-end provider for retail and streaming, and they have their cloud. They were one of the first people to be selling cloud services and things. So they are more interested in running the back end of everything, being the hardware software solution for people than they are selling you something. And I think that's why they've gone into and jumped out of certain businesses so fast. Like they doing a cell phone for a while. They're doing their own mobile, Amazon Mobile, and okay, forget that. There's so many things that they don't need to be involved in, and you have to kind of question their motives for why they wanted to get involved in certain industries in the first place. But it's all about being that invisible presence everywhere on the internet, because I think like Netflix and just about any big service online, the back end is Amazon. So that's a very very creepy thing. But that's why they're still around, and a lot of their other competition during the internet bubble time is gone. The first bubble, there's been so many, but maybe people don't even remember the older bubble times when there was that gold rush when the internet, I think still most people were on dial-up. There was an internet gold rush about the potential and possibility, and we didn't even have the bandwidth to do anything even slightly interesting on the internet, and still people were going nuts about it, speculating on how much money they were all going to make someday. And now we leave that to the cryptocurrency market, letting people speculate like they do. Oh yeah, we don't need any of that white, do we? I did all of that, and I'm just gonna take it all back. But yeah, I guess that's the logical extension of that kind of speculatory, stock market thing that was going on with the internet. Is now people are just speculating, things that they go into knowing something has zero value, and they just hopefully they can get in early and get out early while everyone else is left holding the bag. I love that capitalism in the digital age produces stuff like that. Oh, I don't like how that lines up. It makes a weird. I'll try a different shape here. I don't like how that lines up. Looks kind of strange. Yeah, maybe something more like that breaks that. It gives you better idea. And then try to just give this guy a little shadow so he looks like he's still a little bit up in the air. Okay, let's not do that. There we go. Maybe a little bit less. All right. Okay, so something like that. And be a little bit more on top. Yeah, I can fuss around with this all day. Okay, well, that's enough of a believable light source, I suppose. As if I've ever had one of those. Haha. Okay. And I will resist the temptation to make the books look shiny. Oh yeah, I'm not showing any of the spines, but I guess they would have. Yeah, if I'm going to call these library books, I should probably put a piece of yellowy. It's going to have to be maybe browner than that around the corners of all of them to give us that tag. So let's see if that's, yeah, that'll be enough of a contrast. So yeah, those little stickers with your little, so that's going to be concealed. Let's call this one, this corner, wow, that was messy. Should clean this up. So just the sticker on the spine, but you know, it comes around a little bit. So there's a little bit of an edge showing. There we go. Yeah, I think that'll work to be bright enough. And then it gives me an excuse to make things look a little shinier. So see if that can get like a plasticky look going with any of these. So at least across here, because there's at least, you know, tape holding those on. So we'll do that. That's covered. Actually, that doesn't have to. It can be wherever. So let's put this one here so we can show them all as some kind of marked book. Ugh. All right. Okay, there we go. So I'm not going to wrap them all in plastic, but I'll just kind of try to indicate there. The label's stuck on there. Yeah, I think that works. So this was the layer I was going to put eyes on, so let's do that. All right. Yeah, sorry. Just trying to get a decent angle here. There we go. Maybe too much. Just a little smirkier, not so wavy. Yeah, there we go. Just mild sadness. Okay, so what I was thinking about for this was the first library book into the book return. Always Boom. The Foist Library. Wow, look at that. The first library book. Into the Book Return, always regretted it. As if he has a choice. The first library book. Into the Book Return, always regretted it. All right. The first book in library book. The first library book into the Book Return, always regretted it. So that's what was going on with that. And Sleepy Toys. Oh. The toys found kids exhausting. Even their toys found kids exhausting. Ah. Even their favorite toys. I don't know, maybe. Yeah, I'm glad I fixed that color. I was super orange. That'll be great. You'll have a half orange, half not orange picture. I think I'm always going to have to play around with that because I can't leave this one camera set up if I do any other streaming. I'm going to change the settings. So you get to enjoy a mysterious mysterious setting every time, and I'll probably have to play around with it. Yeah, I think favorite makes it a little funnier. Even their favorite toys found kids exhausting. There's no relation to that, but even their favorite toys found kids exhausting. Yeah, I don't want to say their kids. That reminds me too much of Toy Story and Andy and all that nonsense. Even their kids, even their favorite toys found kids exhausting. Because it doesn't make any difference how much they like you. Right. The first library book, Into the Book Return, always regretted it. And even their favorite toys found kids exhausting. All right. Ooh. Well, that'll do it. I think we got that done. So I don't think either my Twitch or sorry about that. YouTube will be monetized anytime soon. So please, if you like this cartoon and you want to see streaming, more streaming, daily streaming, get a free book, signed, some original art, please go to the Patreon, patreon.com/abusecartoons, and support us. Become a patron and see more and have more connection with what's going on with this cartoon and help make it a daily cartoon once again. So that's the dream, is to get back to doing this daily instead of just twice a week, and streaming as much as possible, and just kind of, having, more interaction, and just make it more connection to the people reading. So if you enjoy this cartoon, please consider becoming a patron, and otherwise enjoy the twice a week schedule. But thank you again for watching. So you can follow on Twitter at Abuse Cartoons, on Twitter, Facebook, Abuse Cartoons, and also the YouTube channel where this will be archived. So this will stay on Twitch, and then I will also archive it onto the Abuse Cartoons channel there. So please have a look, and let me know. Give me a subscription or a favorite on one of those channels, and just stay connected. And if it's on YouTube, remember that little bell on the notification, so every time I go live, every time there's a new update, you will be getting it. And thanks again for watching, and I will see you next week. Goodbye.